Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. We talk about subject matters that are across the board, anything that can help you from minimalism to growing your own food to self-defense to preparing for hard times. This is what we want to talk about today. And this is episode 141, Preparation for Hard Times, Resourcefulness Tips. And there's a lot of stuff going on around, guys, a lot of stuff. And I got some people asking me some questions, so I figured, and people freaking out. So I figured that we would try to help you guys out on how to be resourceful. I've done a lot of things myself throughout my life, getting great results, continue to always improve every day. Should be getting better, as I say on this show. It should be getting better. If not, something's wrong. If it's not every day, it should be every week, every month, every year, where you learn new things, you apply them. And I think that we all need to start focusing on educating ourselves. I think that our current systems are failing us. That's why they got to do and go and reset the whole damn thing. By the way, this is a potty mouth podcast, so viewer and listener discretion advised. But yeah, it's all screwed up. So, but what is the answer? The answer is we educate ourselves and start applying our energy and our thinking towards the right types of things. So I just want to give you guys a short brief today on some ideas and things that I have for you guys to be resourceful. So starting off with the very first one is probably one of the most overlooked one is the internet. Do it yourself. I was not aware because I'm too busy and not into these sort of things, but I think somebody said like 80% of the web surfing, the web browsing is pornography. I think that's crazy. I think a lot of people watching puppy dogs fart and stuff, you're throwing your life away. You're missing an opportunity. One of the greatest opportunities, as I say a lot, this is one of the best times to ever be alive because of the internet. It's not fucking up our lives. It's one of the best things. That's how I've learned to make money. The internet's made me tons of money for my construction business and my gardening. I learned so much. I had a problem today with aphids. And I had an idea, and this is a good example. I had an idea to go and make some tomato leaf juice, right? One of the things I noticed by observing my garden and growing my food is that aphids never really come. There's these little insects, for those of you who don't know, that suck the sugar, the sap out of your plants, and then they excrete a little tiny sugar drop that the ants will come and they'll farm them. It's a whole intricate thing. These things are badasses, man, and they've been here for a very, very long time, and they're very pesty and very smart. But they don't touch things like basil. They don't touch things as tomatoes. They'll go after your bok choy, which they're doing right now. They'll go after your kale. They'll multiply and they get all up. So I thought of, what if I made a natural concoction? I'm the type of person, as I said, for this show, I want to do things that are good for people and the planet to improve quality of life. So why go use a bunch of toxins and poisons? So I can go and make this stuff, and I can go see if it works and try different levels, different mixtures. Or what I could do is go to the internet and find out if somebody else has already been doing this stuff. And guess what? They have. I haven't seen anything with basil, but I did find somebody on YouTube and Google that are utilizing tomato leaves, soaking them in water for a whole day, in cool water, by the way, not boiling it. All of these, it's a nightshade family. So a lot of the poisons that are, and trust me guys, tomato leaves I guess are not poisonous to us, but they're poisonous to aphids. So you soak in a jar 2 cups of tomato leaves, and you add 2 cups of water. Let it just sit there for 24 hours. Drain all the leaves out. Put it through some cheesecloth or a nice good strainer. Put that in the spray bottle. Add another 2 cups, so 1 part tomato leaf juice to 1 part water, and then spray your aphids. I did that actually today to see if it works, and we're going to see what the results are on next week when I get back to my garden, to my spin farm site. But what I want to convey here is that I'm able to glean off what other people work so hard to do already and see if it actually works. Do I trust it? No, I don't trust anything from anybody. I have to try it myself. So, but what's really nice is that I got these shortcuts, and I get millions of them, millions of things that if I have an original thought, I go and look and see what somebody else has done. And what's the nice thing about YouTube is I observe and I look, and I watch every single thing that they're doing. I look in the background. I try to check what time of year they're using, say something like tomato juice. And I go, you know what? I'll bet you it's not working because of this. Because it's too hot. Because it's too cold. Because they're not applying enough. What if I doubled that amount and gave that a shot? So you get to glean off this information and build your own things. So I think the internet, by far, for resourcefulness tips, is by far the most powerful thing that we have on the face of the planet right now. Not only, you see it back in my day when I was younger, we had to go to the library. You know, you had books, you had audio books, cassette tapes that you'd have to, now you have hands-on visual. And one thing I've learned in my sales for my business, that's how I make really good money, is using an iPad. Using a computer to actually show people videos and pictures. You see, what I learned is I asked a lot of different people from a lot of different places, when I speak about these things, are you getting it? But then when I would show them the pictures or videos, they were like, oh, I get it now. So a lot of people I learned are more visual. The majority of people are visual, and I think you are too. And you should utilize whatever you can, where you can, to learn whatever information and things you want. Podcasts, I think, is the next one of the most powerful things. I listen to them all the time, as you guys are probably listening to me right now. I produce these things. What's nice about podcasts is it doesn't take as much energy as producing videos and things like that. So for me to put these out is still a lot of work, because I try very hard not to stumble on my words and bring some value for you guys on here. But it's literally just spoken word. I record them. I edit them just whatever I need to do to take out some bumps and fluff. And then I download it and I put it on the internet. But the best thing I like as being on the listener end, which I am as well, is that you could be doing other things. You could be farming. You could be, when I'm working in construction, up on rooftops and things like that, or tilling soil in my garden, doing things. I've always got something in my ear going on, so I'm able to multitask. We're able to stack functions. As I like to share on the show, we're doing two things at once. We're making money, we're crafting something with our bare hands, we're also educating ourselves and listening to something to better our lives. And talk about propelling you and stop focusing on all the crap that's out there. Find something that you like to do or something that you think could help you, and start utilizing podcasts. Get that in your ears and start paying attention. So we have cooking. Actually, we have a lot of different stuff that we're doing on this show. I'm going to take a little break here. I'm having a little bit of wine. This is the bottle before the last show. It's almost half empty for those of you watching. There's like maybe a glass in there. But yeah, I'm going to try to do these shows at least 4 days a week in 30-minute intervals. I forgot to say that in the previous show, but yeah, I'm really concerned for everybody out there. I'm scared as hell. And we need to start developing some ideas and things, like the next one on my list here for resourcefulness. It's the whole chicken. I shop at like Costco sometimes, or my grocery store. And when you buy pre-cut thighs and boneless breasts and things like that, people had to process those things. So of course you're going to pay more money for them. But why would you not consider buying a whole chicken and just cut the parts off yourself? Yes, it's a little bit more work, but a lot of things I think that people aren't thinking about. And this, I'm not talking about just chicken. I'm talking about beef bones, and talking more than anything from food beyond that you can use your imagination on. We have bones, right? We have the bones. We have a residual leftover of whatever it is that we're doing. In the methods of cooking, like chickens, you can have meat. You can make yourself some tacos, some stir fry, whatever you're doing. You get to enjoy all the flesh of this animal. When you're done with that, all the fat and stuff that you don't want to eat, and the skin and the bones. I know maybe some of you guys may think it's gross, especially here in the United States. You guys are fluffers, man. I'm sorry. I'm American. I live here. But I think a lot of people are going to have to change their mentality and start thinking of this. I'm not telling you to eat a fucking eyeball of an animal, you know? That's where it'd get kind of weird. But I have tried brains. I've tried some really crazy food. But to utilize this chicken, you can take a tool, which I think I don't think I have in here, but I have a thermal cooker. If I do, I'll talk a little bit more on it. Once I clean all the flesh off the bird and I'm eating it, or the piece of beef that I'm eating, take those bones and fat, throw them inside of a pot. And you can boil these things up for a few hours and actually make yourself some soup broth. Then you can go and feed these bones to your animals. It has multiple uses. You can, in some ways, if you're doing bokashi, you can put some of these bones into your compost to grow vegetables. It is safe. You'd have to look it up on your own. But we're being resourceful. We're utilizing the entire animal, and we're stacking functions. First, we got, let's say, some chicken stir fry. Then we got some chicken tacos. Next, we have a whole thing of chicken soup with vegetables from our own garden. So in that example, again, I'm not just talking about food. What is something else that you can think of that has a byproduct that you can utilize? For instance, this wine jar right here, this wine bottle that I'm drinking in, from what I heard from my mother, the Mama Strega, is in South America where I used to live, they used to bury these wine bottles halfway in the ground, fill them about halfway with water. When the wind blows over them, they would make a sound. Let's see if we can do it right now. Well, that's the best I can do. I don't know if you guys could hear that. But the wind would blow over and would howl and make these weird, funky noises that would actually scare off squirrels and rabbits and things from eating their gardens. So they would line up these bottles. Don't ask me why they had hundreds and thousands of bottles. I think that's my peeps right there. But they would line their perimeter of their garden with that, and it would help to deter animals. So you get to have some recreational ethanol, like I just did right now. And then you get to utilize that bottle to ward off animals. You can probably take this bottle and build a little tiny sailing ship inside of it. If you can learn how to do that, you can cut this thing and put candles in it. It's a green, beautiful bottle. There's so many things. You can cut the tip off. You can take this bottle and use something that's called ferrule cement. And you can place these bottles and make a giant light wall over a little structure, a wall, or even your own home, and you start saving all these bottles, and you can use them for light and for decor and to spice up your living space. So you see these examples. Start looking around you and utilizing anything that you can. Look for multiple functions, stack functions with everything that you see. Start utilizing this as a muscle, as I always say. And once you start getting this mindset and utilizing these things, you can't stop. Then you start seeing opportunity everywhere and uses for everything. For those of us, especially po folks, the poor people, I've done it before, right? Rice and beans and things like that. Believe it or not, one of my cheapest meals, I should probably do a show like this on a lot of the meal preps that I do. But one of the things my kids love is just rice. We eat jasmine rice with soy sauce. They just eat just that. They love it. But one of my most famous is breakfast for dinner. We make hash browns and eggs, and sometimes that's it. Most of the time, that's it. No bacon and sausage and all that kind of stuff. My kids go bonkers over just hash browns and eggs. But you can get tired of eating something like that all the time. So one of the things that I look at is spices that you can buy in the grocery stores in bulk. If they don't sell at your major grocery store, sometimes they do. It's like in a little side area. Ask somebody there. They sell these little tiny baggies of, say, turmeric or paprika or something like that. Start growing your own spices, which for one would be really awesome. Cayenne peppers and stuff like that. But the point I want to make is you can get these things relatively cheap if you buy them in bulk, not in the shakers. They're like a tenth of the price. For like $1, you can get like a big giant bag of, like, say, dry parsley or something like that. But learn to utilize these things, as I am right now, to spice up your foods and give yourself some variety where you get some different flavors and things like that. So you could be eating, say, eggs and potatoes, but by adding something like parsley and, some onion powder and things like that, it kind of changes the flavor. Soups, as I said earlier, you can keep adding, add some new vegetables and keep changing it up. And with these spices, you can make everything taste a little bit different. Tofu is actually the perfect example. It barely tastes like anything, but when you add any kind of oils to it, like I like the roasted sesame oil, use that with a little bit of paprika or something. It changes the flavor. You wouldn't even know you're eating the same thing. So very helpful. Maintaining what you own, I think, is a really good thing in these hard times, to be resourceful. It's very easy to go out and buy things, but it's very hard to make the money to buy things. So if you are going to buy things, why don't you buy things that are going to be able to be well kept, to be maintenance, so that they don't go out and you have to go buy it again. But in order to do these things, we need to kind of set up a schedule. So it's very nice and easy to say, well, let me buy some good stuff and then, I'll maintenance it. But when you start stacking stuff around you, especially here in the Americas, and I believe a lot of parts of the world, people own things and don't maintain it. There's a lot of things that slips right out from underneath you that you never really realize. So I think that living an essential and even a minimalistic life, and to not have to go and invest more money into having to buy something because it fails, the best thing we can do with our health, our spirituality, our mindset, everything else, but even the things we own, is make a schedule. So what I like to do is at the first of the year, the mid of the year, we could even do this monthly on the first of every month. I like to check my bank account, make sure there's no fraudulent behavior. I like to take care of my payroll once a month. I like to make sure my credit cards are paid off if I'm using them. Many things. At the first of the month, whatever works for you. Write up a schedule. Take some time off to observe what you got going on around you and maintenance the things that you own. Because as the saying goes, the things you own end up owning you. All right? Unless you get a schedule and you're able to take care of them. So I want to give you guys 5 examples of some things off the top of my head I kind of wrote down here is tires on your vehicle. It's very good at the first of every month or maybe every 2-3 months, depending how much you drive. Learn about your car tires. They need to be rotated. If you have bicycle tires, a motorcycle, a moped you're riding, if you have tractors, trailers, whatever you're doing, learn just about things, how things work. Observe them. For instance, I'm going to give you on my vehicle, you want to rotate your tires every a couple thousand miles. But one thing you can notice is that they'll be balding on one side than the other. That means that your alignment's out. Maybe you should go learn to set your alignment in your vehicle or have somebody do this, because if you drive a truck like mine, which I'm sitting in right now broadcasting in, $1,000 don't get you tires. It's more like about $1,400. So you want to make sure you keep those things in rotation, rotating them constantly, which I do myself. Or you can find somebody like we have out here it's American Tire Company, which they're called, and you can show up and they'll actually rotate your tires for free as long as you bought tires from them. Some of these people, if you live in their city, to get you to come buy tires from them, they'll actually inflate and they'll rotate your tires for free, even though you didn't buy from them. So good little tips right there. So yeah. Keep an eye on your tires make this in a list, and I'm going to give you guys only 5 here, but things like this, you want to make a list and you want to organize these things. It only takes like what, 2 minutes to go out and check your car tires, which could save you a couple $100. Not bad. Some safety ones, I would say smoke alarms. The only reason I'm saying this is I went and checked mine in my trailer. It started beeping the other day, and there was a bunch of corrosion that was happening because I haven't cleaned them or checked them in a long time. And I think this is something really smart to do. I set my list up for every 6 months to just replace the batteries regardless. This is something that could save your life. So we went from one spectrum, which I think tires could save your life too if they went bald and you crashed, and something popped. But checking out your smoke alarms is definitely something I think really important. It's something very simple because it's overhead, but we never really think about. So with the smoke alarms, I'm also going to say a fire extinguisher. I like to keep a couple of these, one in my car, one in my trailer, one in my home. And it's not very often that something happens, but the reason why I brought this one up is that my neighbor down the street's car caught on fire, and the whole thing burnt down to the ground. I have a very small fire extinguisher that's in my home for small fires. I live in an RV, so there's not really, if something caught on fire, I don't really need to have a giant canister. But to put out an entire vehicle that's on fire, that was insane. So I kind of looked and said, you know what, maybe you might want to vamp up your game and get yourself a bigger fire extinguisher and have it set up here just in case for situations like that, even if it's not for me, to help my neighbor and maybe help save a life. So these fire extinguishers actually have a dial as well that you can tell when they start to expire. They'll move from green to actually red or yellow. So good thing to check on these things for safety. So my next one is I'm kind of a prepper, I guess. I'm not sure. A prepper, like a survivalist prepper, I don't know. But I utilize my truck fridge. I'm in my truck right now, right, doing the show. I have a solar panel on my roof of my camper, and it powers 4 golf cart batteries, which powers my refrigerator freezer. That's my lunches. and food from when I go to work. It also chills out my beverages, which I should sample right now. But one thing I didn't realize, the reason I'm bringing this one up, is that if you want to be prepared, you don't want to have to use like generators and gas stuff. I think solar is a wonderful thing to have. I've got enough in there in my truck to pack enough food for me and my family to live off for like a month. It's like the size of a very large ice chest. But what I found about 2 months ago, that's why it's on my list, is that we have these little plates. And yes, I studied about these things to understand them. And there's water, and there's distilled water. It's got to be. The water almost started touching the top plate. When those things touch oxygen, they start to decompose. I paid about $280 per battery. If I maintain these things right and do what I'm about to tell you, in contrast to a simple battery like a car battery, which only needs to be replaced every 5 years, if I take care of these, I'll only have to replace them every 8 to 10 years. So I had to use distilled water, set that up as well to keep that up on my end so that I don't have to buy new batteries. I'm going to give you guys a simple little tip. That's called Simple Green. I learned this from a friend of mine who's a plumber. Is this really significant? I think yes, because if your plumbing backs up and your whole house starts to flood, that's a very bad thing. All you need to do is use a degreaser of any type. It doesn't have to be Simple Green. But what he taught me was all the shampoos and soaps, cooking oils and things like that most people just dump down the drain, accumulates in the pipes. You see, it's when you're taking a hot shower and you're washing the body oil and using cream rinse and soaps, they're made out of sometimes some fatty oils, and let alone cooking grease. You wipe out your bacon out of your pan as best you can, then you put hot water on it and you rinse it down the sink. What happens? It goes down the pipes where it starts to get cooler and cooler and cooler, and then it coagulates into this thick and starts to coat your pipes until one day the coating gets so thick it backs everything up and your sink is overflowing, your toilets are overflowing possibly, your shower, and you got to call a plumber. Unless you know how to plumb, that's going to cost you some money. So all you need to do is once a month take about 1 cup to 2 cups of Simple Green or any kind of degreasing detergent soap. I like Simple Green because it's biodegradable, supposedly, and dump that down all your drains. Let your water flow for a little while, and that'll clear everything out. And as long as you do that once a month, you'll never get a clogged drain, as long as someone's not flushing too much toilet paper down it. So I thought that was a little one. Secondhand stores, at least I know we have listeners from all over the world. I don't know if you guys have these. I imagine you do. For those of us in the United States, I don't know if you guys have them in other countries and stuff, but I love Dickies pants. It's what I'm wearing right now. They're very well made. They cost about $40 here in the United States, anywhere from $35 to $40 brand new. I know at the secondhand store, I'm going to give you guys my tip. I just thumbed through all of the hangers. Dickies pants has a very large belt loop. It's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wide. And as you fumble through all the pants, they're like every time. There's only one other brand, I think, maybe once in a while that'll pop in there. But you just dig through very quickly until you find that 1-inch belt loop, and then you pull them out. I find my pants. I've been wearing my pants proudly. Most people would be embarrassed to say this. I've had some of my Dickie pants for like a decade now, maybe even more than a decade. And the one thing, that's how well they're built. I have no sponsors. Nobody even knows I even exist. But one thing I would like to say about my Dickies pants is when you have them for a decade and you wash and wash and wash them, it feels like silk. You put them on and it's almost like you're wearing nothing. It's just very soft. But what I love about Dickies is I'm a very hard worker. Most things I do is physical. They are one of the best pants that holds up. But secondhand store, to get back on subject here, instead of $35, $40, I've picked these things up for anywhere from $2.99 to $5. I think $6, $8 at the most. I'll go in there and I'll buy myself like 3 or 4 pairs, and I'm good to go for years to come. Not only that, I've heard people finding music instruments, sports gear, beyond clothes and stuff like that, sleeping bags, tents, backpacks. I found a really cool survival hunting backpack that I got for pennies on the dollar. I think it was like $4 or something like that. Somebody found an air fryer, a dehydrator. I've seen them, a crock pot. What is the fancy one that people do now? The Instapot. I saw an Instapot for like $20. One of the large ones. So don't underestimate your secondhand stores. Drop your ego and utilize that. I want you guys to also utilize like back over here, I've talked about this a lot on the show, but it's helped me out so much, is friends of fill in the blank your city. We have friends of Fallbrook. That's how I found my Spin Farm site. And I just put a message out there and I simply said, hey, friends of Fallbrook, California, I'm looking to grow some food on your property in exchange to pay the water bill, and I'll give you guys some food off of it. I had like 40, 50 offers. It was inspirational. I found a sink for free. I put a note out there. Anybody got a sink that they want to sell, they give away for free. They got a door. I found all kinds of things, and it just seems limitless. Utilize Facebook, as evil as it probably is. Another tip I want to give you guys is probably an weird one, especially coming from someone like me. It's called the paper plate factor. And I'll bet you a lot of you wouldn't believe someone like me is actually doing this. But yes, I am. Am I proud of it? No. But I understand and accept it for now so that I can get ahead and never have to do this in my life. I use paper plates and paper bowls. There, I said it. I feel guilty. The factor that I'm trying to give here is that I'm a single dad. A lot of you guys don't know, a special needs kid. I raised both my kids myself most of the time. And to come home and do dishes and things like that, it really, to keep everything all up and running is very difficult, and it's a lot of work. I like utilizing the paper bowl and paper plate factor because it saves me a lot of time, and I'm able to get more things done, like such as this podcast and stuff like that. But it's not forever. And the thing I want to utilize here, or put for you guys to utilize, is there anything that we can use? I mean, I'm using plastic trash bags and stuff, where I used to just take my garbage, dump it into, after it was dumped, I'd rinse it out and wash it with some soap and stuff like that. But if there's things that we can utilize to get ourselves off completely off this grid and off this system that we have. And I think the paper plate factor is a very big key. It's not just about paper plates. It's about whatever you can utilize. I've even heard of people on big giant farms who are doing organic, how they used poison control like Roundup to kill some weeds because they were coming in, they were very invasive. They used just a little bit, the minimal amount possible, until they didn't have to use it anymore. And then it was done forever. Because they were so busy, so spread thin, which I think a lot of us are. So if there's something in this gross, wasteful system that we have that we can utilize to give us that much more time to put ourselves in a comfortable spot to invent, create, and work our way out of this place. As I say a lot, we didn't get here overnight. We sure as fuck ain't getting out of here overnight. So utilize the system against itself. And as weird as it may sound, sometimes little things like having a bowl and a plate that you don't have to wash. I mean, I literally take these paper plates sometimes and I'll use them as a cutting board. I'll cut all my vegetables to make my raw veggie juices for myself to stay healthy. And then I take all the scraps, put them on the paper plate, and throw it in the garbage can, and I'm done. I don't have to go watch the cutting board or anything. I rinse my knife out with a water hose or in my sink. I don't even use soap because it's vegetables, and I put it away and I'm done. And I can move on to one thing, to another, to another, to another. So hopefully that makes some sense there. And I think that you guys should invest in some tools moving forward. I'm going to give you guys 5 tools. And again, they're just off the top of my head that I had, was the air fryer, which I mentioned. Air fryers, it shoots heat. It's a cooking tool. And this thing actually makes food a lot quicker than anything else. It's a lot healthier if you're going to make things like chicken wings, or if you're going to reheat some leftover onion rings or potato, like French fries and stuff like that, or a hamburger or meat that you cooked. Instead of putting it in the microwave that turns it all rubbery, try an air fryer. An air fryer does a lot of different. You can make biscuits and all kinds of different stuff. But the flavor of reheating your food tastes a hell of a lot better in the air fryer. And I think it's one of these tools that may cost you a little bit money, but it has a timer on it. So once you get used to making stuff, for instance, I have a bunch of recipes. I don't want to go into detail, but you can literally just stick this thing on for 10 minutes at 300 degrees, pop in your whatever food you have, walk away. When it goes ding, you know it's ready. You got food for the people, and you're off and you're running. Find out these tools, as I said, with the chicken, the thermal cookware, which I do not have in here. But utilize that kind of stuff to get yourself ahead. Moving forward, I have a cordless nail gun. I work in construction. For those of you who don't know, when you're shooting nails into 2x4s, fastening wood together, you need to have an air compressor that causes pressure inside of a hose that needs to go up on a roof or in through a building into a pneumatic nailer, and then you start shooting stuff, and you got this hose bouncing around everywhere. I went and bought myself a cordless, which means it just uses a lithium battery. I don't need to carry my compressor with me. I don't need to have my hose. But you know what? That gun costs just as much as the hose and the air compressor. But the convenience of me getting to a job, having to go fasten something, grab my nail gun, put it full of nails, climb up there and nail everything off, and then walk back down and get on to the next thing. It's actually making me money. So I think we need to understand utilizing certain things of tools, whether it's for your homemaking, your homestead, your city stead, as we said on the last show, or your job. Some of these things are like, it's an investment. And you can think about it this way, that the paper bowls, paper plates is almost like having a maid just for a little while. The nail gun that I have, the cordless, is almost like hiring a worker, but there's no worker. And this is, again, I said on yesterday's show, I'm observing the things that are observing me. Automation and all these things. How can I utilize these things in my life to actually get myself ahead and be ahead of that game of automation by automating it, if that makes any sense. Moving forward, I got myself a wok, especially my good friend Dean in China. I don't know if you cook with a wok, but I got myself a wok here, and it's got multiple purposes. What I love about it is you can make soups in it. For those of you who don't know what a wok is, it's a frying pan that's it's almost like a bowl frying pan. I got the flat bottom one that's got a little tiny, maybe a 4-inch diameter on the bottom, that way you can cook on a flat stove. But you can heat up vegetables, which I spin farm. I grow a lot of my own food, so it gets very, very hot. You don't need to use a lot of oil. In fact, you can cook stuff with like chicken broth or just plain water. And what it does is you get it white hot. I mean, searing hot. Take your vegetables, throw them in there, bounce them around a little bit, spray them with some water or a little bit of oil, and what it does is just sears the outer part, gets them all nice and hot and a little bit crunchy but still raw in the middle. Dump them out, and you got fast, healthy, good food. This is a stacking functions tool because you can make soup out of it because it's like a bowl. And you will have this thing for the rest of your life, just like a cast iron skillet, a cast iron frying pan. So very good tool, and I really, really am happy with my wok. The next one I have is a steamer. And this is a little contraption that I bought for, I think, around $80. And what you do is you put in about 2 cups of water. This thing heats up and then causes a jet stream of steam. Instead of using chemicals on my toilet, instead of using chemicals on my sink, chemicals on my porta potty that I have in my vehicle, I heat up the steamer and I basically go and steam everything that needs sanitation in my house. I'll give you guys a tip here that's really gross, especially if you have kids. Sometimes kids don't wash their hands after they wipe their rear ends. They're fucking assholes. Let's just go ahead and say it. Salud. Well, one of the grossest things that people found was there was actually human fecal matter on the doorknobs of places like restaurants and stuff like that. It's so gross. So anyways, if you got kids, you can steam the doorknobs and everything like that. Just shoots out a jet stream. I go and use the top of my trash can lid, which is lined with a plastic trash liner, yes. But I have diapers. I have a special needs daughter. She's going to be 13 this year. Still changing diapers and stuff like that. So we need to stay sanitary. I shoot the steam all over the top of the trash can, the handles, the lids, and everything. I've got an outdoor sink. I shoot the steam in there. One cool thing is you can take the steamer wand and stick it in the drain and shoot steam in there to actually sanitize some of the foods and scraps and stuff that you get in there. I go around my entire toilet, all those little weird nooks and crannies that you can't really get to. You just steam the hell out of everything, the shower, the drains again, the floor and all that. So you could do these things in a matter of minutes. It would cost you a lot more money and using soaps and sanitizers and things like that, where you could just use steam. It does the same job. It does it in about 1/10 of the time. All right. So moving next from there is my battery power pack. And that is what goes into my vehicle. A power pack, a transportable power pack, is something that will jumpstart your vehicle. But it doesn't only do that. Beauty about mine is it's USB. So when I'm talking about this power pack today, if you have one, you should get one that has a USB plug that you can recharge it. Because what I do is off my solar panels and those golf cart batteries that I was talking to you guys about, I can hook this power charger up and actually get a full charge off of it to jumpstart my truck if I need to, off just the solar, off the light in the environment. But these things are really cool, I would say, because mine has a light on it. I spent about $280. I can't remember what the brand was, but this external power jump pack will actually charge my phone up to like 30 times. It's got a light on it in case I ever get stuck on the road. It'll jumpstart my truck, which happened to me. For a lot of you guys who follow me, I do mini retirements. Me and my kids will actually live in my truck. We'll take off for like a month, 2 months to 3 months, and we'll drive in the middle of the wilderness to get away from everything and have a break. And it happened to where my truck wouldn't start. Now, I'm already prepared because I have the golf cart batteries. I can just take 2 of those out, run them over, to be a lot of work, run them over the front of my truck and utilize the cables I have to jumpstart my truck, and we're off. But having that power pack has helped out tremendously. I just pulled the thing out. I've helped other civilian people out there jumpstart their thing with it, their cars. I actually got stuck at a dump. I have a dump trailer that hauls garbage, which needs batteries for the hydraulics to lift. The battery died midway. I'm in the middle of the dump. We got trucks and everyone waiting, everyone looking at me going, hey man, what's up? What's going on? Grabbed my power pack, hooked it up to the negative and positive, dumped everything, got it all done, hooked it up to my solar panel. By the time I got home, the whole thing was charged. So tools and things to be resourceful, things that you can invest in to make your life. I think we should have started this stuff years ago, but I just wanted to give you guys some examples of things that you guys can use in your life and things that I think are important. A lot of physical goods that are actually stacking functions that have multiple things to help you out. I don't know, guys. Start thinking this way. Be vigilant. Stay focused. Observe all the possibilities, as I said, around you. Look for scenarios and opportunities constantly. And I hope that I've woken this stuff in you. You guys, you want to start a plant business or you want some vegetation around you. You can literally cut hundreds of thousands of plants. You just take a clipping of a plant. One is aloe vera. You can take an aloe vera and you can just pull one of the little pups right out of the ground. Don't do anything special. Just go stick it in the ground and give it some water. It'll actually root in and you'll have an aloe vera plant. I've done this with herbs such as thyme and oregano, cut and basil. Take a cutting of a plant that's around your neighborhood or around at a farm or you bought it at the grocery store. That's actually what I did. I took lemongrass from the grocery store, stuck it in a jar of water, and it started rooting. Now I have more lemongrass than what I could do with. Stay vigilant. I want to just leave you with that. I went and ate lemongrass, took the leftovers, the byproducts of that, stuck the bottom half in the ground, and it started rooting. Now I have more free lemongrass than I could do with. It fed me, and it's producing for me probably for the rest of my life as long as I keep that plant. That's the kind of thinking that we need to do to get through these hard times. We need to start being resourceful. We need to start utilizing everything around us and start exercising that muscle and start being an opportunist and always observing and looking at things. And no other time, I think, that it's so important as it is right now to make sure that you take care of yourself or take care of yourself and your family and those around you in your community, to be observant. Stop, drop, and roll. Stop freaking the fuck out and just look around you and watch what's going on and see how you can utilize that. I hope I've given you guys some value here. I hope I continue to give you guys value here on this show. We got to get through these times, guys, and this is the way that we're going to do it. So with that, you guys can check out this show on. We got extra stuff on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and anywhere you can hear the podcast. It's up and in it. My name's Adrian Babashoff. I'm signing out. I'm going to try to be here as much as I can, hopefully 4 days a week from here on in. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it.